Hey everybody, excuse me, I have a watery eye, so if I have to wipe my eye a couple of times, it's because it's just super watery. Have a little bit of some allergies going on today. So what I wanted to talk about today is quite simply how we can help counteract some of the radiation from our cell phones particularly. So there are other things you can do for other items in your home, like your televisions, your computers, and for things of that nature, I would recommend doing similar things as what I'm going to recommend for the phone, sort of, but I would also recommend using some crystals and stones around your devices that you're using, your tablets, your TVs and your computers, laptops, etc. Excuse me, I clearly can't talk super clear today. So when it comes to those types of devices in your home, you do want to counteract that. So those are the main things that I would strongly recommend. Okay, so but mainly when it comes to talking about our cell phones and what we can do in terms of the radiation for that is, don't make the mistake of thinking that your phone does not emit radiation, because it does. Don't make the mistake of thinking that your TV and your laptop does not emit radiation, because it does. And you really want to be careful about this. And I'm kind of going off on a different tangent here, but studies have actually shown, infertility studies have shown that men who work frequently with laptops in their laps, it can actually contribute to sterility in men and making them to where they produce less sperm. And it's really interesting. And there were some similar studies done for females as well. But anyways, it's definitely something you want to think about, because, if it can do that to your fertility, then what can it do to the rest of your body, obviously. So the number one thing that I do with my cell phone, which I started doing probably about 10 years ago when I first learned about it, is I use, I guess I call it like a resonator, but you can order special products online. You can shop for special products that you can get, like certain types of phone stickers and whatnot that are like anti-radiation, and they're not super expensive. You can get them for pretty cheap. So you could do something like that, and those help a whole lot. Or if you're like me, what I do personally is I take some small pieces of aluminum foil. If you use too much, it can interfere with your signal. But ultimately, if you're just using small amounts, it should not. So what I do initially is I take one chip of aluminum foil, just a little square. You don't want it too big and too thick. You want it pretty small, but not horribly small. So then you're going to stick it in, if you have the type of phone where you can open up the battery compartment, I used to stick one or two in my battery compartment. And then I would also tape one to the outside of my phone, or I would put it inside of my phone case, or tape it to the inside of my phone case. So I always use a phone case because I'm very accident prone, and with or without a case, my phone's going to get broken. So what I do is I put a couple more foil chips, at least one or two, in the inside of my phone case. Like I will usually tape one to the back of the phone, have another one inside of the phone case, if that makes sense. So like the phone I have right now does not have a battery compartment. I guess most these days don't anymore. I mean, heck if I know. But so that's what I do. And then I also, if I want to get even more protected from there, I will take another small foil chip and I will duct tape it to the back of my phone case. And though it may not be the most sightly thing, that is still just what I do. So right now, for example, I do have the foil chip duct tape to the back of my phone as well, underneath the duct tape. So that's just what I do for my phone. But another thing I would strongly recommend is you can get a pop socket, and you can look up online. They have certain ones you can buy that are actually made out of crystals, stones, and those, in my opinion, are like the best thing ever. And I would really recommend trying something like that. And I used to buy so many because after so long, it would pop off and I would super glue it back on and I couldn't get back on. And finally, I just got tired of buying them over and over. But if you can get your pop socket to last, I mean, that would be great. So the last one I had was a white turquoise, and before that, I believe I had, it was like a yellow, no, like a blue regular turquoise. So that's another thing to consider. If you don't want to get all ghetto with your foil chips, anti-radiation stickers, or, a crystal stone rock pop socket. I'm pretty sure you could probably even look up anti-radiation pop socket, anti-radiation phone cases. I mean, there are so many different things that we have available to us now that we didn't used to have. And we really have to understand that radiation amounts are not decreasing, they're increasing. And so it's extremely important that we take into consideration that we need to be aware of our radiation, the radiation around us in our homes, in our vehicles, in our lives, period. And when you're carrying your phone around with you everywhere, you can't just assume that it's not doing anything to your body. If you're, I don't recommend carrying your phone around in your pocket all the time or keeping it on your body, shall I say. I don't recommend that at all. I know a lot of people do that, especially men. If you have to, you have to. But if you can avoid it at all, I highly recommend not keeping your phone on your person. It's just not healthy in my opinion at all. Anti-radiation stickers are not. You're not going to be able to block 100% of it. So I don't recommend using a microwave. I think I've talked about this before. Some experts argue it's controversial. But the bottom line is it does produce radiation. We do know this. And so if at all possible, don't use them. Just because, it may be quick and easy, but, they don't really evenly cook your food. They can be dangerous and cause burns. They can, because of how hot they can get really, really fast. And so it's just not something I recommend. It's so much healthier to cook your food in the oven, or, just cook it a different way. So yeah, and let me think quickly if there's anything else that I want to add here when it comes to radiation, cell phones, etc. Yes, the last thing I want to mention is don't sleep with your phone right next to your head. Like, so many people do that. I'm pretty sure everybody does that. Some people even sleep with the phone underneath their pillow. And I don't recommend this at all. I used to do that in my younger days up until probably in my early 20s. I would do that, and I quickly learned it's not a good idea. So, and you have to understand too, the closer that phone is to your head, the more, that radiation is more of a concern when it comes to your brain, and you just don't want that, quite frankly. So yeah, I don't recommend sleeping with the phone next to your head, like on your nightstand or whatever, unless it's really far away from you. Personally, what I do with my phone is when I'm sleeping, I do like to keep it near me so that I'm able to reach it if I have to, because I have to keep an eye all the time, and then if my alarm goes off. So some people will go so far as to leave their phone in a completely different room at night when they're sleeping. But for me, I just quite simply leave my phone, and I do let it charge overnight or half the night. And so I'll leave it on the charger, and I'll leave it plugged into the wall on the floor, not on the nightstand, but on the floor. And it's always approximately, I would say approximately 3 to 4 feet away from me at all times, away from my body, from my hips midsection, I guess, is about the area in which I would say it is in relation to my body. So yeah, these are just some little things you can do. You don't have to implement all of these strategies. These are just my recommendations. And, if you don't have any money to buy any of the anti-radiation devices, just try the aluminum foil trick, like I mentioned. And if you don't have crystals and rocks and, anti-radiation stickers and things that you can put on your devices or near your devices, wad up some balls of aluminum foil. It may sound stupid, but it works, and every little bit really helps. So I do have my backup phone with me, and I always keep a backup phone because you just never know when you're going to have an emergency. But I'm going to show you really quickly how how you can, what it kind of looks like when you do the foil chip underneath the duct tape of the phone case. So this is my backup phone, and as you can see, it's it looks a whole lot like my other phone, my regular phone. It's very similar, but on the back, this is just what it looks like. There's the black piece from where I used to have my turquoise pop socket where it snapped off, and I got sick of re-super gluing over and over and over. So underneath this duct tape, I do have some aluminum foil patches. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and I appreciate your watching, and I encourage you to do the best you can with your health and take small steps and make progress toward being the best you that